fake. Be who you wanna be, cause what makes you unique is your identity. It's what makes up you and me. It's what makes up you and me. It's what makes up you and me. It's your identity. It's your identity. Yeah. It's what makes up you and me. It's what makes up you and me. It's your identity. It's your identity. It's what makes up you and me. It's what makes up you and me. It's what makes up you and me. It's your identity. It's your identity. It's what makes up you and me. It's what makes up you and me. It's what makes up you and me. It's your identity. It's your identity.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for a special edition of Peeling Back the Layers. Tonight, we are talking about men and depression, and we have four courageous men who have agreed to unmask and be transparent and allow us into their lives of living with depression. So we're going to need our full hour. So without further ado, I want to introduce you all to our guests. We have three. We were supposed to have four. Unfortunately, Robert Congress at the last minute had to work, so he will not be with us. Can you gentlemen hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
We are going to
Yes, loud and
start
clear.
with, great. Thank you, first of all. Thank you for joining me on my platform tonight with the Other Woman magazine, which is published by Candy Publishing. This is a topic that I feel like should be more in the forefront of social media. It should be a national. We shouldn't have to wait until someone takes their life for us to have more discussions, live discussions, so others can understand what it is, what it feels like to have and to live with depression. First of all, let's start with Mr. Mark Shipman. Mark, if you would just introduce us, and you're not a stranger to the Other Woman magazine and Peeling Back the Layers, but let our viewers know who you are.
Hello, all. I'm Mark Shipman from here in Birmingham, Alabama. I'm a husband, father, and try every day to be a better man than I was the day before.
Great, and thank you. And you are in Alabama, correct?
That's right, Birmingham.
Okay. And next we have Mr. Roderick Elliott. Hi, Roger. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on. My name is Roderick Elliott. I also am in Birmingham, Alabama. Um, like Mark, try to deal with every day, one day at a time. Just deal with what comes in the road, one hurdle at a time, and be able to get better at communicating what things I'm going through, and hopefully this can help people along the way as well to be able to share their story as I share mine.
Wonderful. Thank you. And last but not least, we have Mr. Errol Tobert in Richmond, Virginia. Hey, Errol, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Yeah, I'm in Richmond, Virginia. I've been here about 6 months, but I've been living with and battling depression for probably since majority of my life, actually. But yeah, it's a daily struggle. But the thing about it is, I want to try to hope to clear up some of the misnomers that people have about men and dealing with depression. Doesn't mean that we're crazy. Doesn't mean that we're losing our minds. It's something that a lot of us deal with, and hopefully I can help other brothers come forward with theirs.
Wonderful. Thank you. And hopefully we will get some comments. This is an opportunity that we have, a rare opportunity where viewers who want to know a little bit more about depression and how loved ones, family members, and friends can recognize the signs and how we can help. It's just really sad that we don't have more discussions like this. And I think more men than we realize deal with depression. So let me ask each of you all this question. Why do you think that is? Why do we not have more platforms like this if there's such a high rate of depression and suicide among men, specifically Black men, when it comes to depression?
Well, I'll jump in and say that for one, especially with Black men, it's not something that is easy for us to talk about, nor find someone to listen to us. We were raised as boys to suck it up, deal with it, show no weaknesses, and as we get older, that's what we do, and it get harder and harder to express yourself. A lot of times women look at it as a weakness when you try to confide and share in them, your pain and your struggles,
Roger?
Yeah, I agree with everything Errol just said. Coming up, you're always told, just boys don't cry. Harvey, keep your feelings to yourself or whatnot. Don't, boys, we don't say this or we don't say that or whatever and stuff like that. You hold that stuff in for a long period of time until, it comes out in other ways. Unfortunately, you have some people that do harm to themselves, that do harm to others, or, sometimes they do the whole ultimate self-delete of themselves in order to deal with whatever pain they might be dealing with. And a lot of times, unfortunately, people just don't care because we are men. We are seen as almost machines almost. And nobody notices anything until something is actually broken. And usually when something is broken, sometimes it might be too late to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think platforms like this are much needed.
Mark?
We've allowed society to double down on what we're taught about not crying, and nobody wants to hear it. I remember, as a child, when you started talking about something, I go through the same stuff. Okay, but when I was your age, I went through it. Okay, Dad, so what did you do? I sucked it up, and that's what you need to do. And we, society says the same thing. You ain't a real man if you crying, and you can't talk about what's going on because then you're complaining. And so we just compartmentalize and push it down. And like I said, it gets to the point, like Mr. Hawkins said, that you blow up, and you wonder why, folks do what they do and what makes them, as they say, go off the deep end. You packed it down for so long that you don't have an outlet, you don't know of an outlet, and the end result is normally violence, including death.
So is there a solution? Because that is the way mothers, mostly fathers, raise their sons to be tough. We buying the superheroes and you're supposed to not cry, brush it off, you're okay. So is there a solution to this? Or is this something that we have to deal with?
It's no solution. I mean, depression is something that is an ongoing battle, like any other disease, any other illness. It's no magic pill that you can take that will get rid of it.
But the stigma. Yeah. Right. I know it's not going anywhere, but is there a solution to how we tell these little boys to not cry?
And what we're doing right now gets it starts the deprogramming amongst us so that we can deprogram our kids. Talking, you know, just open forum, just talking, learning that it's okay to see a therapist, or that you're okay to not be okay. So forums like this and learning about therapy starts us on the deprogramming. You know, they always say break the generational curses or something. Well, it seems like this is a taboo, a curse. You're not supposed to talk about it. So we know, we go through it, and we know that is working in our favor. So we can't. This is nothing you can keep a secret. This ain't like stock tips where you trying to get it all for yourself. You got to share this.
Let me ask you,
I agree with what Mark.
Go ahead, Elliot.
I'm sorry. I said I agree with what Mark said. It starts with in childhood, being able to talk to our kids. I mean, I'm probably not the best advocate of it because I'm a work in progress with it myself. But just trying to talk to kids and be able to hear them out, don't shut them out on things. Sometimes they do have genuine things that they really want to say, and we as adults have to be able to be more open and receptive of it. Like I said, I'm a work in progress with it myself, with my kids, because they do have a lot to say. They do have a lot going on, more than what we want to give them credit for, because again, they are kids. And as adults, we're thinking, well, y'all kids, what type of real problems do y'all have? But they really do have a lot of issues that they have to go through, and they've got to listen because they have a lot of pressures and so forth as well. I mean, we did it. We went through it as kids ourselves. So like Mark said, it's time to break the curse, so to speak, and just be the ones to hear them out, and just kind of hear what they have to say before. Exactly. They do grow up, and they don't forget. And these things, something that happened when they was 5 years old could carry on with them when they're 45, 50 years old, and they just never knew how to cope with it. And forums like this, being able to go to schools and talk to kids, or even just have like a little boy mentoring groups and being able to talk and express them, get an opportunity to express themselves, I think will go a long way.
So looking at you all, 4 handsome men, you don't see depression. We want to identify depression, but depression could be someone you live with, your next door neighbor, a coworker. There's no face of depression. What would you all want people on the outside looking in to know? How can we help you if you don't talk about it and we don't know?
Sometimes it's as simple as just talking to a person, not talking but just talking to a person. I think in society right now, we very rarely take the time to really check on those we care about. A lot of times, when you call that friend, and just say, hey, how you doing? Instead of just worrying about when we go on the party or, the fun stuff. A lot of times we just need that door to open that we can let things out. It's so hard sometimes to find people who will just listen because nobody wants to hear about the bad stuff.
So what I'm hearing is to just check on your friends.
Yeah.
And we have to, before I answer, I want to answer Charles. He's right. Childhood traumas never dealt with. They don't mention counseling. If you grew up in a religious Black family, just pray about it. Never mention of counseling. If you grew up in a non-religious, it's just, boy, get out my face before I give you something to cry about. So you're right. They don't discuss counseling. They never did. And in regards to what you're saying, how do you know? I often think about how I used to be. I would stop asking people, how you doing today? When I would speak, hey, how you doing? I stopped doing that because people would start telling me how they were doing. And I'm like, but I didn't understand. Now I understand. I
Right.
know that I can go to counseling and stuff, but some people, when you say it, they take it literal and they want to open that door. So I know to be prepared. If I ask how you doing, I really mean it. How you doing? What's going on? It ain't, but it took a while to learn that, and everybody wants to put a face on depression as you're walking under a thundercloud or you slump down. Like I said, Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. And that's not the case. You can't look at somebody and tell when it comes to depression. It's different than when you're dealing with someone that has other mental illness, like maybe schizophrenia or something, because of their actions. Depressed people, we smile all the time.
Right.
If you and that's why a lot of people look at me and like, you suffer from depression, because they read the foolishness on my Facebook page. And they don't realize that is my coping and defense mechanism. When I was younger, it was anger. So I had to learn how to cope without getting angry, because I ain't got too old to fight and I don't want to go to jail. So, but in all seriousness, you have to learn a new way to cope. And with me, it's trying to make something funny. I try to find the humor in everything, even though sometimes it's not really appropriate, but that's my mechanism.
That's how you deal with it. And I read something in my research that there's a higher rate amongst comedians of dealing with depression and suicide. So, Roderick, what are your coping mechanisms? You're in therapy for depression, correct?
Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm currently going through therapy. I've just started going back. I was going probably about 3 or 4 months. And then I decided to stop for a little while, take a little break earlier this year, and I just recently started picking back up. Just things I do on my own, just kind of cope with whatnot. Probably not the best things in the world, but I smoke cigars, and because it gives my mind time to kind of shut down a little bit, and just clear everything out of my head that's going through, and allows me to think more clearly on things. How I can deal with things in a better light, or things that I can possibly let go to help free my mind on certain things and so forth. And like Mark said, we all have our way of dealing with things. Sometimes I laugh about certain things. Sometimes I sit quiet about it, and those other times I just go for a long drive, or like I said, smoking my cigar, and just kind of keep to myself, and just kind of deal with things. But some things I'm always doing is always kind of stay active with stuff. Anything is always going to keep my mind turning, and then just have those moments where I just need to kind of clear everything out, and kind of my personal reset, if that's what I call it, my personal reset. And then just start over again, the day over again, or just whatever the situation may be, just start it over again, and that way I can start fresh and reevaluate on how I want to deal with it a little bit better.
Okay, remind me to come back to the smoking cigars. Remind me to come back to that. But Errol, I want you to answer the question also. How do you cope with it? What are your coping mechanisms for dealing with your depression? Errol, we can't hear you. Can you hear me, Errol?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I hear you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I hear you. One of the issues that I have that I struggle with is, for so long in my life, people look towards me for their comfort, and it never allowed me the opportunity to really share my struggles. And so a lot of times I've had to just fake it, you know, and act like everything was okay. Um, through the VA, I have gone through counseling, and you know, it's hard as a black man having someone listen to you, because it's like a lot of times people have their image of you, and nothing can change that. No matter how much you let out, no matter how many tears you shed, you know, no matter how loud you yell and scream for help, sometimes it's like, oh, you all right, you gonna be okay. You Earl, you all right. You my dog, you strong, you always all right. You know, and a lot of it's a struggle trying to find ways to deal with my depression. A lot of times I deal with it alone. Like Charles is one of my brothers from high school, you know, and I called Charles last night because I know Charles can relate with some of the things that I'm dealing with. But it's very hard to find people, especially professional people. Well, I've had a hard time finding professional people that can understand and listen and give back, you know, feedback to help me get past my pain.
Okay. Roderick, you mentioned the cigars. Now, also in my research, I read how you can drink illegal drugs. I'm not going to say everybody does that, but how do we tell the difference? How do we tell the difference? If people are drinking and smoking and getting high and having a good time, unless you all talk and let someone know, we don't know. We don't know that you're dealing with depression. And I think that's the question that most people have. It's like Twitch. He was always happy. He was always laughing and joking. How do we know to reach out if you all don't talk?
But if I could say this though, even with Twitch specifically, if you remember, especially on Facebook, a lot of people were like, oh, it was a conspiracy. Somebody had to kill him because it was nothing wrong with him. And like I said, a lot of times just because we smile every day and we laugh every day, when we're trying to reach out, most people don't hear us, and they don't want to listen to what we're really saying.
Okay.
You know, and when we do try, sometimes we're met with, oh man, go ahead, you all right, you know. So once we hear that, we shut down.
I think that is, and let me know if you all agree, that is for lack of knowing what to do. We have a lack of knowledge of dealing with depression and the signs of it. You almost feel helpless. You feel helpless.
I think,
Say again.
I'm sorry, Lavender. I think one way is like, people do ask, hey, are you okay? And so forth like that. And, you know, I think people knowing how to better communicate on checking on somebody and so forth like that. Like it's certain ways to ask the right questions that will get people into the flow of a conversation. They'll allow them to open up and so forth. Like you can ask me, am I okay? And I'll say, yeah. Are you fine?
You'll say fine.
Yeah.
Fine. I'm okay.
Right. And then, you know, if you go into saying something more open-ended that will lead to a conversation with some people, more people will probably be more willing to open up and talk about what's going on. But that's also on the listener as well. They have to be willing to listen, because everybody is kind of in their own world. They see something may be going on with somebody, but it may be too heavy for them to listen to. So they'll just leave it at, yeah, I'm okay. He's okay. Instead of just saying, well, tell me what you're experiencing and so forth.
Okay.
It was a traumatic event or something like that may have happened, I don't know, in the past, or that they know about or something like that. You know, just kind of, well, this situation kind of reminds you of that, you know, just more open-ended questioning, and just being a little bit more of an open ear for people as opposed to
So
closed ear.
basically, it's like they say, don't ask your child when they come home from school, how was your day? Don't give them a chance to say good. Ask them
Right.
more
Exactly.
a question where they would have to expound a little more. Robert
Exactly.
Congress, and thank you all for just tuning in, those of you all who are joining us now as we talk about men and depression. Robert Congress was our fourth person. He had to work, but he writes an article he writes for the Other Woman magazine. And this was something that he wrote in a previous issue that I want to share since he's not here to share it himself. But it says, I initially dealt with mental and physical fatigue, which slowly progressed into sleeping disorders, total isolation from family and friends, and unexplained feelings of hopelessness. So in that, he was like you, Earl, he was a football coach, high school football coach. He was very active in the community, but then he felt like he had almost like a nervous breakdown. And he mentioned that he was probably living with depression before he was even aware of it. So did you all go through a period before you were diagnosed with depression where you didn't know what was going on with you? Why am I feeling this way?
Yes, I definitely did. And I almost said to answer your question, Lavenda, but I'm thinking that's your sister. You said, can someone explain depression versus occasional sadness? I'm going to make my attempt. Normally, when I was sad, it was because it was a direct correlation to something that happened, or a disappointment led to sadness. But with depression, I'm sad for no reason. And it's not always depression being sadness. It's just a feeling of hopelessness, or feeling of dread for no reason. You know, I can be sitting, I'm blessed now that I can work from home. So I could be sitting at my computer, perfectly tranquil, got my coffee, and all of a sudden I want to cry. There's absolutely nothing wrong. You know, my family is in good health. You know, I got food in my fridge, I got clothes, I got my essentials and above. But I'm just sad. I just feel gloomy, and it's constant. Sometimes it to me it never goes away, but it ebbs and flows. Some days it's very high. And I think, you know, I really wasn't diagnosed until until I met my wife, and she started talking about it. And she said, Mark, I see what I'm dealing with in you. You know, I'm up here telling the doctor I'm having heart murmurs for no reason, but I was actually having panic attacks. I'm up here wondering, why am I crying? Why I feel like crying? Why am I so sad when there's nothing wrong, nothing you can pinpoint wrong? There's nothing going on with anything, but I just feel sad and tired and drained, and it's constant. And sometimes, you know, it'll flow like that for weeks. For weeks, you just feel I don't want to do this. Not necessarily suicidal thoughts, but you just want to go in the closet, close the door, and if you could stay in there in the dark for a week or two at a time, you probably would.
What about you, Errol? Can you explain? I'm sure all of you all have a different answer. The difference in depression and occasional sadness.
Well, similar to what he said, like my trauma. Well, I started losing control of my ability to control my depression in the military, and you know, the way that I dealt with it was by drinking, partying, you know, meeting women, and, you know, to distract my mind. When I got out the military, I realized, you know, these same things weren't working anymore. You know, I could see a commercial on TV. I could be happy. I could, you know, be feeling good. See a commercial that reminds me of a guy I lost in the military, and just break out crying for no reason, you know. And it's like a lot of times, you know, like I said, I'm a man, so I can't let no one see my pain, because in most cases when I have tried, you know, I get shunned away, you know. So, you know, sadness is something like, you know, oh, my father died, you know, okay, my dog died, okay, you know, it hurts for a while, you get over it, you move on. You know, you think back to your father, I think back to my father, I think back to my dogs. But the depression is something, like I said, it's nothing that makes sense sometimes. Nothing is wrong. I have no stress in my life right now. I have no drama in my life right now. And I'm depressed. I come home to a nice place. I got a beautiful job. And, you know, the sadness doesn't really, it's the depression that takes control of me, to where sometimes I don't want to get out of bed. You know, I don't want to wash my dishes. I don't want to, you know, it's something that you can't really explain. It's a feeling that comes over you and weighs you down, to where you don't have energy just to take care of yourself.
Okay, that brings something to mind. And I think we talked about this on the phone before, Errol. You can get up and go to work every morning. You can perform when you have to. But when it comes to you doing something for yourself, you'll get out of bed to go to work. So what is it that you can't get out of bed when you don't have to work? What's the difference? Help us to understand. Why can you get up and go to work Monday through Friday, but when it comes to you, you have a difficulty getting out of bed?
We've been programmed that a man don't work, don't eat.
Yeah, that that part. You know, it's like ain't nobody else gonna pay my bills.
I think
So
I could compare it to like.
What'd you say, Roger?
I think I compare it to like being kind of like. So I think I compare it to be like a functional alcoholic. You know, you got people that drink alcohol. They can come home, hide their pain in a bottle and so forth like that. But when it's time to hit the clock to go to work, then they're able to do it, and then just do it all over again the next night and so forth like that. And it's kind of similar. When it's time to get up and go, like as men, we are constantly always on the go with something. Because our main adjustment. And so we're programmed like that. But when you're kind of alone and have downtime and so forth like that, you know, I think at least for myself, I know sometimes it kind of hits. So I just actually kind of dive into it, kind of make myself go and do something. You know, even if it's me hopping in the car, going to a store or something like that, and so forth. And because I don't want to sit up and wallow or anything like that. But as far as being able, like I said, being able to get up and go to work, you know, we're just programmed like that. And we don't know anything else to do but just go and, you know, take care of our families and just kind of put that to the side for a little while for those 8 to 12 hours, however long we all work, and come back to it a little later on, and you know, just kind of deal with it in our coping mechanisms. Like when Marky says he laughs, me, I do cigars every so often, which I've actually cut down on, by the way. And
Did you?
And I can't remember what Errol said he did, but you know, we're able to function and so forth like that. But like again, you know, it's all a bit of a mask in disguise. So it's really tough to determine without having that conversation with someone and being able to ask the right proper questions in order to get them to open up about it.
Right. And I think that's the issue, is you don't know what the proper questions are. If you're not educated, which is the reason we have these forums, if you're not educated, you don't know the questions to ask.
But Lavinda, if I may, I want to answer what you just said, and I want to touch on what Jay Will asking. But a lot of I personally feel that those when we reach out to certain people, some things to me are common sense. You know, it's like I remember one time my ex-fiance was standing outside as I was walking the dog, and I realized, okay, something's not right because she's standing outside, you know. And some things, it's not that people don't know what to say, they don't want to know what to say because it requires more of them to care and show that empathy towards someone else, you know. And it, to me, kind of taps on what Jay will ask. As Black men, one of our biggest defense mechanisms is cracking jokes. Whenever something go wrong, we talk shit. Excuse my French, but we talk shit to each other. That's our way of not dealing with what is really going on. You know, and that's, I think, in the Black society as a whole, you know, we rather laugh and joke than rather sit down and talk about what's really the issue, what are really the issues. Yeah. You know, it's easier to laugh and joke and then deal with something that's really pressing or deep and mentally emotional because we don't know how. We were never given the opportunity growing up to sit down at a table and have meaningful discussions. You know, it was always let's party or let's joke, let's watch a movie. You know, is anything to distract than deal with what the issue is.
When is the right time to have those discussions?
When you feel it as a friend, as a person, when you see someone that is not normal or is off, you know, ask, yo, you good? You okay? You need to talk? I mean, that's the least you can do. That's all you can do is ask, are you okay? Do you need to talk? That person may not, but you got to allow yourself to be there for that person.
And it takes,
and Jay, they will poke and crack because they don't want to own theirs.
Right.
That's the main thing. Oh man, what he's saying is deep. I go through the same thing, but we're programmed. I ain't finna let him have me out here snot bubble crying, so I'm gonna crack on him to change the subject, thinking they're lightening the mood when they're not. And that's what we do. That's what we do. That's our defense mechanism.
Okay, another question. What can the viewers, those who are watching, we're obviously interested. We want to help. We want to be educated. We want to know the signs. What can we as individuals do? What can we do?
A lot of times when you notice someone has stopped doing what they normally do, be like, hey, you normally this, you normally that. Sometimes folks just tired and frustrated. But like I said, be prepared when you ask how you doing to actually listen if they want to tell you how they're doing. You know, when you know someone's always been upbeat or outspoken or outgoing, and suddenly they're not, then you ask. To be honest with you, for the ladies and even other men just listening, you know what Black men go through, so you know they're going through something, regardless, just for being Black. So when you act, you know, so just reach out. You know, he ain't got to be, you know, I ain't heard him such and such in a while. How you doing? You know, what's going on with you? Just reach out. You'll be surprised how many mask their feelings because that's what they've been programmed to do. So sometimes you have to break the ice so they'll get started.
I just posted something I want to talk about. The second one, it says, you know people love you, but it doesn't feel like they do. Now, I don't know why I get choked up on that one. You know people love you, but it doesn't feel like they do. Do you all experience that at all?
All the time.
Yes.
All the time.
Yes.
I
got one in the other room that if I sniffle, she wants to get medicine. If I grunt when I move, she won't know if I'm hurt. I know she loves me one I've ever been loved in my life. But some days I feel like I'm all by myself.
Yep.
And that's
That's depression.
the part. Because you know better. You know better. You know somebody there, but your depression and your mental state will not just allow you to move past that. You know, you're feeling all alone in a crowded room when you know everybody is there for you. And that's frustrating. Very frustrating.
Do you still feel that way when you take medicine for depression? Do you still feel that?
Yeah, I think when it comes to my medication, I think it's more of a mood stabilizer on how I act more than how I feel. It keeps me from snapping, so to speak, but it doesn't really stop the feeling. It helps me be more in control of how I react to what's going on. And Jay Will is absolutely right. I know we're jumping around, but yeah, and that's why if you look, there's a number that Lavenda has scrolling across the screen. Go to a counselor, because sometimes you can't talk to your friends about it. There's the number right there. Start there, then start with therapy, because sometimes we're untrusting. We don't know who's gonna throw something back up in our face or tell the next man. Until we can really truly be comfortable with who we are, and can tell it ourselves, be like, you ain't gotta go tell nobody nothing, because I'm open book. Until we get to that point where we know we can be fully transparent, then you can't. So you can't depend on your buddies. I hate to say it. You can't depend on your family. You can't depend on your brother. What you have to do is you start with therapy. Somebody who don't know you how to paint, so they have no.
I say, if I can answer that, Mark.
Yeah.
I say, just to add to that, you also have your EAP at work.
Yes.
That's how I got into my therapy sessions and so forth. It just so happened I've never paid attention to this poster on my wall in my office a day that I've been in that office. It just so happened I had a day where I was feeling just overwhelmed. I was really in my feelings about something, and I just happened to look up, and there that was, and I called the number and made an appointment. The first 6 sessions were free with my job, and it's helped me a lot. Found out a lot about myself and so forth. I still suck at communication, but I'm getting better at it. And like I said, I'm a work in progress and so forth. I'm a quiet person, so it's really hard to tell if I'm going through something but so I'm trying to work my way through that as best as I can. Yeah, just like I said, just be able to talk your feelings out. In a therapy session is a whole lot to a person like myself. It's not just be able to talk. The therapist offers solutions, and that's something that a lot of your family, your friends, or whoever in your group when you're talking to them, a lot of them can offer that. They actually give you solutions that you can actually put to use and put to work. And just like Nora said, talking to a stranger helps sometimes because they don't pass judgment on you.
Yeah, but see, I need to say this though, like the talk to a stranger thing. Like, I'm usually the stranger. I'm the one that everybody talk to, and it's like I've been places where I'm dealing with something in that moment, and the person that's there trying to talk to me ends up talking about themselves and what they're going through. So it's not always as easy. And then, there are people, like you said, that care about you. And then when they call you, every time they call you, you okay? You all right? Is there anything wrong? It's like, I don't need you to just, sometimes just ask me, hey, how's it going? Did you see the game last night? You know, I don't need you to just call and say every time you talk to me, "Are you okay? Are you about to jump off the ledge?" You know, it's not like that for some people. You know, but like I said, it's more about the dialogue, and sometimes you have to be sincere in that dialogue in order to help somebody. You know, don't just go through the generic questions. One, are you okay? Or do you want to hurt yourself? You know, no, just ask about me. You know, just ask, you know, just have a conversation with me. You know, sometimes that's all we need is somebody just to talk to us, not talk about what's wrong, but just talk to me as a person. You know, that's how you can show me you care about me.
That's heavy.
Yeah.
Because you know what,
We're not in crisis all the time. Sometimes I just want to talk.
Right.
let me ask each of you answer this. This is getting a little personal, but I'm going to ask. Have you ever contemplated suicide?
Yes.
Yes, I have.
Okay. Will you, each of you, share, if you can remember that day, what went on in your head?
Lavinda, that's the thing. It's not a day. It's days. You know, and it's not so much that, you know, I'm sitting here plotting out how I'm going to do it, but the depression sometimes take hold on me to where, you know, why not do it? You know, or if I did it, you know, shit, ain't nobody gonna care. I'm here now, ain't nobody calling me. So if I'm not here, what's the big deal? You know, and it's like, you know, it's one of those things. It's not a one size fits all, because every day is a different day. You know, so many times, like I said, I can be fine today. I mean, have a great day. Wake up tomorrow like, I don't want to be here. You know, and then when we say that to someone, it's like, are you joking? Or they don't take us serious because they're like, you're not going to do it. You know, you just need a girlfriend or something like that. You know, it's no one understands. And like I said, it's sometimes I don't understand. I called Charles Hawkins last night crying because that's where I was for no reason. Ain't nothing wrong in my life. I have nothing to worry about. No stress. Great job. But yesterday, for whatever reason, the past couple of days, every day's just been getting worse and worse and worse. And I can't explain it.
So what did Charles do for you? Did he just listen?
It was listening and talking, saying some things that I needed to hear. Okay. You know, and sometimes, you know, when you're going through depression, you know, you lose sight of who you are. You lose sight of the things that other people see in you, you know, and some things that he said to me last night, it made me realize, damn, yeah, that is me, you know. Like I said, the life that I live right now is not, I'm older now, so I'm not going out to the bar getting drunk. You know, I'm not chasing women, you know, to mask my pain. So my pain is my pain, you know, and it's just one of those things where, like I said, every day is a crapshoot. Some days I can handle it. Some days I can control it. Some days I can even ignore it. And then other days it whoops my ass.
Okay, hearing you say that, Errol, I've known you for years, and to hear you say multiple times you thought of it, I feel helpless. I feel helpless. I want to reach out, but I don't know how to reach out. It makes me feel, I feel bad because I didn't know. And I think that's the thing with depression. We don't know. We don't know. And as you all sit and you're telling us what you need, you're right, Errol. It doesn't penetrate the deepness and the darkness of it. We will never understand. But again, what I'm hearing is that you just want somebody to be there.
Yep.
Just be there.
It's oftentimes that Wendy and I won't say nothing for hours. We might just sit in the same room, and I'll look over and put my leg on hers, so to speak. That's being there. Because if you're not, you can sympathize with folks. You can empathize with folks if you don't know what they're going through. You can really sympathize when you know what they're dealing with. And so sometimes just be there. Just be there.
Yep.
And
what happens when you isolate yourself? What
What
happens when you isolate yourself and you don't want to be bothered? You don't know.
I can speak on that because that's me. all
Yeah.
the time.
That's right.
Say what?
About isolation.
Like I'm the isolated person. I don't like to be bothered with a lot of people, and it's funny how my life kind of works out in a sense because the job that I work, I'm literally by myself all day long for 8 hours. So it gives me a lot of time to think. Some good things come across my mind, some bad things, and I replay a lot of things that I wish I could do over again. And sometimes I actually do get to a dark place on days. And, so I actually have thought about, well, nobody really cares about me. And, there'll be days I'll look at my phone outside of, a text from my wife or a phone call from my wife. I hear, it's literally cobwebs and so forth, other than, random bill, not even bill collectors, but spam calls and so forth. And, it's lonely. And you try to deal with it best you can and so forth like that. Thank God, I have, my phone with me at work. I have my laptop with me at work. I can find stuff to occupy my time to better thoughts and so forth like that. And but then, like I said, when they get to those dark places, it's like, okay, I wonder who really would miss me if I was to do something to myself. And I have a thing, a voice that goes in my head, like, man, I really don't want to be here. And or I'm ready to go home, even though I may already be at home. I'm like, what does that really mean in my mind? What I'm talking about? And at those moments, I'm like, okay, I need to get up and go do something, keep myself busy and everything like that, and just keep it moving forward. And it was times like that. That's why I found out, I need to go to therapy. It was the day that I was having a real bad day. I feel like I was in a dark place. Just happened to look up and I saw the EAP, and I worked with some things out there, and I feel like I'm in a much better place now. And like I said, I'm still a work in progress, but and a lot of stuff I just have no idea where it's even coming from. It just happens. It just is. And like I said, I'm working through it as best as I can.
If I can say something, like one of the things, like most people that know me know I love dogs. My dogs, my last 2 dogs died like right before COVID and at the beginning of COVID. But what a lot of people don't understand, my dogs were my excuse to keep living. Who gonna feed my dogs? Who gonna take care of my dogs? That was my mental excuse, to avoid, trying to do something, because like I said, people I've lost faith in. I hear I love you all the time, but the love that I hear is because of what I do for them, because I'm there for them. And a lot of times, like I said, it could be written all over my face and it's still about the other person, and so many people don't understand. It's just like, it's not like I'm in need of anything, but like I said, the same when I'm battling, when I'm in that depression, like I said, if you just opened your eyes and look, you would see it all over me. You know, I've always been a people's person. And like I said, anybody that even took the time to look right now will realize, damn, I've been in Richmond damn near 7 months. I ain't been out once. I go to work and come home. You know, and when I tell people that, they're like, oh, why? I know you've been out. I know you done seen some club, whatever. It's like, nah. You know, and like the obvious signs, like I said, nobody grabs. I don't want to say nobody cares, but nobody is paying enough attention to what I'm saying and what I'm doing to realize, Earl, it's not okay.
A lot of it is conditional versus unconditional. And
right.
Like your attachment to your dogs, they show unconditional love to you for the most part. And humans, unfortunately, a lot of the emotion that we express is conditional.
Yep.
What can you do for me?
Yep.
And so forth like that. In order for me to listen to you, what can you do for me? And that's when you're dealing with depression or anything like that. That's the wrong approach to take to someone like what we experience and what we go through. And you know, it kind of sounds like who we can talk to, who we can't talk to, and why we shelter ourselves or why we don't open up to people. So some things do have to be unconditional towards us. Some people have to be unconditional towards us for us to even open up like that. And if we don't feel it, then we're not gonna open up about it.
And Rama is right. It goes beyond just talking to your friends. You need to seek therapy and possible medication. But like you said, we don't believe in that going to the doctor. Nothing.
Well, see, that's not my issue, because I go to the doctor 4 or 5 times a week if I have to. I call it, hey, my fingernail hurt. I'm going to any and every doctor I can.
Yes.
You know, it's just the fact that, like I said, I've been on medication. Most people don't know this. I've been on depression medicine for the past 10 years. You know, and constantly getting my medication adjusted. But like I said, I keep that to myself because you know why? Nobody gives a shit.
Yes, sir. Exactly. And they label it as you being crazy.
Right.
Oh, he on medicate. Yeah, he crazy.
Right. He crazy. Oh, he was in the military. Yeah, he crazy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He crazy.
What about now? This is me and all of my ignorance. This is what I would say to a friend. What about what you're eating? Are there foods to help depression? Do you all exercise? This is all me just I'm a woman trying to fix you.
There are no.
My question.
That's a good question. And sadly, the foods for my depression were not the food I needed to eat. So, you know, you find comfort food. Now, as far as trying to find, you know, you can deal with herbs and stuff to help with your health and things like that. However, I didn't research that. When it got real bad for me, I wanted some chocolate cake, some potato chips, some fried chicken, and sometimes some liquor. So there was food, but it wasn't for the right purpose. There was no eating healthy to like maybe increase my blood flow or anything to change my chemical balance of my body, you know. But a lot of that is because I said in previous shows, I didn't believe in depression. And why is because people would say they were depressed when they were disappointed.
Right.
So I didn't take time to study. I'm depressed. What happened? Man, I wanted to go to the beach. That's not depression. You just upset you couldn't go somewhere.
Right.
And when I started to see it in my family and started to see people act out because they were dealing with the actual chemical imbalance that can cause depression. And I said, okay, well, maybe I need to, use Google other than use the internet other than checking scores and other stuff. And I started to learn, okay, so while there are foods that will change the chemical balance of your body. So I'm sure there are combinations that we could do that could help, but I haven't like researched it. But yeah, like when you said, you either emotionally eat or you don't eat.
See, like one issue I have, when I was younger, yeah, the gym was my friend. Playing basketball, playing football, anything to keep active. Well, I got screws in my back. I can't work out no more. So I got like a double whammy because in my mind I'm still 37. But the reality is I'm not. But I can't do, in my mind I can still do everything. But when I try, now I'm limited to because of my back, which contributes to my depression. And like I said, when people look at me, they don't see nothing wrong. I walk fine. I can jog here. I look like I'm okay, physically and mentally. And like I said, last week I went to the VA. I had to get an MRI before I could see my pain doctor. I couldn't get the MRI. I lost it. I threw a chair down the hall. I threw a trash can, kicked a trash can. I cussed the doctor out. I cussed the nurse out. Told them to go get the fucking police. I don't give a shit what the fuck they gonna do. I lost it. Because being in pain and having depression is not a good combination. And it's not always, my depression. Sometimes this is depression from being in pain. And like I said, I can fake it till I make it. But like I said, I'm tired. Like I told Charles, I'm tired. I'm just flat out tired. And most people, when they look at my face and talk to me, they never grasp that.
And you said you've been on depression medicine for 10 years?
Yeah, longer than that. I was in it when I started in the military. So shit, what's that? 20 years? 30 years, off and on, more on and off.
So when we met, however many years ago, were you dealing with depression then?
No, I was self-medicating women and alcohol. That was my depression medicine. Getting drunk and sleeping with women. So
you didn't know you had depression?
I was in denial. I knew it. I just didn't accept it. Okay. Like I said, I kept self-medicating, trying to disguise it or, ignore it, thinking it'll go away by, sleeping with this girl or getting drunk, Yeah, that was my go-to back then. Then I matured. I grew up and realized that was only hurting me more. I barely drink. I mean, I drink, but I barely drink, because I know it does no good.
I think I started in my mid-20s, maybe 22 or 23 is when I started to really have these issues with feeling sad for no reason and things like that. I'm 52 now, and I've been dealing with therapy and medication for 6 years. So for 20 years, I was just, it's a feeling, it'll pass. And let me just say, because my wife watching, that I followed Errol's path a whole lot back then, way back then. But yeah, that's what we do. That's how we deal with it. I just need to get out. I get to moving, I get a little liquid courage in me and I can shake this feeling.
Yep.
And you do until you sober up.
Yep.
And twice as hard.
Yep.
Now you sad, depressed, you can't find your car, and you got a headache. So, but what do we do? Hair the dog. You go right back at it.
Right back at it. The only reason I think I started cutting down was because of the fact, like I said, I started getting in trouble. I got 2 DUIs in my past. I started getting in fights in the military, outside the military, and I realized I can't keep doing this because either I'm going to kill somebody or I'm going to kill me. My mother used to always tell me, I worry about you and drinking, because I didn't see a problem because that was my coping mechanism back then. you know. And it's like now I got to the point where, as much as I love to talk, I started talking. I want to start talking about me versus everything else. And that's where the change in me became, because I realized nobody wanted to hear about me. They wanted to hear me do poetry or other stuff, or tell them how beautiful they were and all that. But nobody wanted to hear about me, you know. And I started changing. I started removing myself from people and places and events and things.
Okay.
I know for myself,
Go ahead, Roger, please.
okay, I'll say for myself, I know I kind of fairly new to this whole thing, so like that it wasn't to, I guess, me going to therapy to like realize what I actually am going through, because over the years, you know, I've always been kind of mild mannered and stuff like that, but I still was kind of dealing with things that I didn't necessarily understand or knew I was dealing with and so forth like that. It wasn't until, I don't know, recent years or whatnot, I've been dealing with a lot of just anger has been coming out. Unfortunately, at my family and so forth, and I just never knew what reason it was about or what reason it was for. And you know, now since I've been going there, now I understand a little bit more, because I've been bottling so much in from you know, from back when I was a teenager or 20s and so forth like that, and just trying to piece the words together, piece my thoughts together, being able to articulate it a lot better, being able to tell somebody about it, about some things, and being able to just get it out, and just being able to just have better understanding and so forth. Now I'm able to like try my best to try to control things a little bit better, but at the same time, you know, you still kind of go back to old habits, and that's where I'm at, so to speak. And like I said, like I've been saying the whole night, I'm a work in progress. I have a therapy session set up for next week, as a matter of fact. And you know, I'm not a quitter at anything. I just want to keep on getting better. And I know I'll probably never get rid of, you know, feelings of depression or feelings that come along with it and so forth. I just want to be able to manage them better and be able to articulate more of what I'm feeling. But that's also on the people that I'm dealing with. I want them to be able to understand, to be able to comprehend, be able to hold a conversation with me without, especially probably after this, I'll probably get that a little bit more often. Like, well, are you okay? Like almost like a pity or a charity case at this point. And like, I'm not like that. It's like Errol said earlier, just talk to me like you would anybody else. And you know, they'll make me feel more comfortable around you. They'll let me talk a little bit more, and you know, just sometimes just focus on the person you're talking to. Don't necessarily turn the conversation that was geared toward me back towards you. And you know, a lot of us, we don't get that a lot of times. It's always, okay, I'm coming at you with good intentions. Are you good? You okay? You fine? Okay, cool. Well, let me tell you about this. And that's not a way to allow us to open up. And that's something that I'm learning, something I'm getting better at. And hopefully, you know, being on this platform, since I guess I'm new to the depression area that Mark and Errol, you know, they've been dealing with for years. And so for this platform, me being the newbie, can help somebody like myself, just kind of new or just more aware of what's going on. They can go out and get help about it.
Charles, yes.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but what Charles said, that I feel that too, bro. So definitely, if you haven't already, do that, because you know, I don't know you. You ain't never, other than on the screen, you ain't never seen me before, but I care, bro. So yeah, see, because I don't need to look at Errol Page one day and you gone because of that. So if you're not already talking to somebody, call. I see you military in your picture. So hey, go up there to the VA and just sit in the middle of the floor until somebody come out there. But do something, man. Don't deal with it.
No, we knocking on doors. Charles, like we ain't gonna just sit on the floor. We gonna knock on doors. Hey, God damn it, talk to me. You know.
Okay, you guys, you know what, Errol. I gotta close. I hate to close. I could just let you all talk.
Wait, one more thing, please. Chris, I don't know necessarily if it's hereditary. However, I do know that when you're dealing with chemical imbalances in your body, you know, your body structure through your DNA. So I don't know if it's ever been linked, but you know, certain things are, you know, since depression ain't just a feeling, it's just, you know, you're also dealing with your body chemistry is not working correctly. So that's a good question, and I'm gonna have to look that up.
You know what? The whole genetics.
Yeah.
I believe it's. I don't want to say it's similar to high blood pressure, but when you go to the doctor, they always ask, "Do you have a family history of this? Do you have a family history of that?" You know, yeah, we do have to do the research. You guys, I do not want to stop the discussion. I'm sure everyone who viewed, you guys, thank you for tuning in. I hope you all benefited as much as I did, but it wasn't enough. I don't think it could ever be enough. So moving forward, how can I help? Moving forward with this platform, somebody needs a Facebook page. Something, I don't know. But whatever I can do, I'm always offering my platform to help in any way. But it's got to be a place where men can come and women of those men can come and be able to tap in and get information and get help, or just mainly to not know that they are alone. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
You know,
Perfect.
whenever you want to talk, and whenever you need somebody, I'm willing to be a face. I'm open about. It took a while, but I'm open about what I deal with. So,
well, everyone is thanking you guys. Everyone is thanking you. Thank you guys for also joining in. So they appreciate it. They appreciate you guys. So, would you all be interested in doing this again?
Sure.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Charles says he'll invite 5 people next time. Thank you guys. So we will plan something, and hopefully Mr. Congress can join. He missed out, so we'll do another one, and hopefully he won't have to work. But I appreciate you guys. I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Everyone is still chiming in, but thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for unmasking and sharing yourself. And who knows, you all unmasked, maybe somebody else will. And I think that's what it takes. It takes one person. So I'm going to give somebody closing words. One of you guys give us closing words.
I do.
Errol.
I just want to say in closing that depression is not something that we can control sometimes, hide sometimes, but we're still people. We're still individuals, you know, and sometimes just talk to us. Just reach out. If you care about somebody in your life, I don't care if it's a family member or a friend. You know, if you haven't talked to them in a while, call them. Just say, I love you. Sometimes those 3 words means more than anything. But just let somebody know that you're there. You ain't got to go into detail. Just let somebody know you care as often as possible.
Perfect. Thank you. And we're going to end with that note, praying for you all. And we're going to take heed. So I have to acknowledge my sponsor, but we're going to say good night, and I will let you guys when we schedule the next one. Okay.
All right.
So we're closing.
All right.